the thing that stood out to me the most, and I'll have Drew fill in a little bit here on his side of the story, but that we were on it. Like, if we would have stuck with it, we had no money, we didn't advertise, we basically just found people who wanted a business or who ran a small business, and we took pictures and we threw them on social media. But like, if we would have just if we had would have had even just $1,000, I feel like a little bit of advertising and stuck with it for another like 6 months, I think it would have been pretty successful. What do you think, Drew?
Yeah, we had a website and we had different tiers of services. And what it was all about was social media management. So
Yeah.
we would advertise to these business and say, we'll add these different social media plugins to your website, the little logos, and they would click on that and would bring them to their social media page, or people would find them on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube and then redirect back to their business. And yeah, we were like in our early 20s and nobody, we'd approach these businesses, hey, get on Facebook, and they would say like, oh, that kid's website, they didn't really
Right.
take it serious. It was back in the day before social media was like a kids thing. It wasn't really it wasn't, it's sort
It
of almost
wasn't
like
thought
how,
of as a tool.
It was actual social media. It wasn't like
yeah,
It wasn't
a
what we
tool
have now.
like
no,
tool
no, yeah.
website, or
You used to know what your friends were doing.
right.
And you used
Yeah.
to get feeds about what your friends were doing instead of all these random people and advertisements.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it's hard because, you're doing something new. You don't know if it's going to work and your confidence is really low. And you're just looking for this like fishing pole to catch a fish. And so you can validate that what you're doing is not crazy. That's the
Yes.
really hard part about starting a business is you sort of throw yourself into the void and hope that you end up on the other side.
Well,
And
I
you
think
don't know if you're going to make it or not.
that brings up like a very interesting topic: testing an idea. Like, how do you test an idea before you spend all this time and effort into developing said system?
Yeah.
I've read about many different accounts. You guys know, I think it's called Zappos. This is a shoe shop. Originally, so obviously they didn't have inventory back in the day. They wanted to test the idea of whether buying shoes online and like gathering them from all over would be profitable. And so the way they tested it is they just they built a front-end website, and then when someone had an order, they would go find the shoe, and then they would ship it to a person. And they did that all manually. That wasn't like with the system or anything at the time. And what it allowed them to do is like test out the whole idea without spending huge amounts of money on R&D. So how can we, as like small business owners, and when we have these ideas, how can we test the theory out? Like, what do you, Phil? What do you think's a
Okay, so
good way to do it?
I just had this really interesting idea. The last podcast, we talked about AI avatars, right? What if you were to somehow generate 1,000 avatars and give them personality, likes, and wants, and then develop software that's like a front-end website, like you're saying, and then put it in front of these avatars and see what sticks. Run simulations that way for new products, new services, whatever.
How would that work? Because wouldn't they already have a bias?
Well, so AI creates like associations, right?
Right. But you're missing something. So past performance does not predict future results. It's like investing in the stock market.
Yes.
Like just because it worked yesterday doesn't mean it's going to work tomorrow. But your idea of running simulations is really good.
So what you're saying is the AI is trained on yesterday's data
That's correct.
and can never predict tomorrow.
I wouldn't say never. I would say currently not able to.
Yeah. Yeah. So Phil, your idea is like a future thinking idea, which is good. I think that could happen eventually.
It's like
when
Minority
you can sort of
Report.
make an avatar that would react like we're reacting to each other.
Right.
And so it would have certain interests, and then these interests giving a totally new topic, it would know how to interact with this new topic, even though it's never been trained on it.
Wait, let me ask you this then.